right, we are live. All right, so I will start out by doing a little presentation about what I've done with my use case diagram. All right, so can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right, so I've actually done this in Adobe InDesign, so it may not look quite like some of the others you see. So I did mine of a calculator program. And are you able to see my cursor?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just go over kind of the basics really quick of, use case diagram is basically shows the basics of whatever your program's going to be in a simplified fashion. It's usually used to present it to people that are some sort of stake or shareholder in the development of whatever the project is. And so for this, I've got a calculator program, and we've got a user who interacts with the math calculator view. And math calculator is spelled incorrectly, and I did notice that. And so then the math calculator view is included into the application controller, and an include basically just means that something is necessary for the application or the program or whatever the project is to actually function the way that it needs to. And then I've got the do math calculations function is an extend, which means that it is an optional thing. And the reason I put it that way is because you can open the math or the calculator application, and you don't actually need to do any calculation on that until you press the equals. And so it's not necessary for the application to actually run, but it is required down here under the extensions, the do math calculation. It is required for all of these. And so that's why I've got each of the other functions, the subtraction function, the addition, the division, multiplication, and power functions are all includes of the application controller. So does that make sense?
I have a question. So those values that it says include or system, those are variables that you're passing from one class to another?
So these are all different functions that are used in, you would be passing variables from one to the other.
Okay.
And so the reason it says system right down here is because this whole thing right here is the system. I should probably put that in a better spot. And the includes just mean that whatever it's attached to is necessary for the previous item to actually function.
Okay.
So include means that it's an absolute necessity, and the extend means that it's something that's optional. It doesn't need to. Not every single time you use it are you going to have to use whatever an extend is.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because the reason I'm asking is because it reminds me a little bit of, I don't know if any of you guys have taken the C++ class.
I have not.
No, I haven't. No.
It just reminded me a little bit of the diagram that they're using, and I was trying to compare if it is the same. So I'll be able to understand the concept, but I think I am getting what you're saying.
Yeah, this is the easiest one out of the group of the different diagrams that we have to do. It's just really simply put a simplified version of what the user is going to be doing with your program. More complex ones could have multiple different users using the application in different ways, and you could have a front end user and a back end user doing stuff that would have different things available to them, and it would make this much larger and much more complicated.
So what have you guys gone over so far? I missed a lot. So
just the use case diagram right here.
okay.
Um,
This one I didn't get to really look into yet.
how long ago did you join? I didn't notice you pop up in here.
Like about a minute ago.
Okay, so we just started on here, and I was just going over the use case diagram. Basically, on it, it's a simplified it's something that you can show a shareholder or a stakeholder in whatever your application or project is. It shows them in simplified terms what the user is going to experience as they go through the system.
Yeah.
And then on this diagram on here, you've got your user who interacts directly with the math calculator view, which is I did a calculator program for mine. And then there's the application controller, which
So
is
question. Did you do an actual program for it, or you just use a diagram? You just made a diagram? Okay.
So I think that for my final project in the class, I might actually make the calculator.
Okay.
Maybe it depends on how far I get through everything and how ambitious I'm going to be.
I received an email from Brother Tuckett, and he said that the diagram doesn't have to be related to a program that we make. So either it could be, or it doesn't have to.
Yeah. But yeah, so we were going over that and talked about how the includes are functions or parts of the program or project that are necessary for the whole thing to work, and the extends are optional things that happen but not necessarily every single time, or are not necessary for the project or application or whatever you are demonstrating to be functional. So yeah, that's basics of my presentation on here.
Oh, thanks. That was awesome.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to go over and then I guess, so now are we going to talk about servlets and what everybody's challenges are, or what they found, or yeah, how do you guys want to?
I can show what I've got.
Yeah, I did do some research on servlets. I didn't get too in depth in it. I just tried to get a basic understanding of it. And
Yeah, sure. Who was that said that? Was that Jerome
Jeremy, yeah.
or Jerem? Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Jerem.
That's so cool. Here, let me open up. Where'd it go? Yeah, let me open up what I got, and I'm gonna open up the tutorial that I found. Let's see.
I love this group.
all right, while you're trying to pull it up, I remember I look at the servlet life cycle. It show you that you have like a web app, and it has like the load servlet class. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is create servlet instances, and the third thing is call an integer, and four call service, and the fifth is call destroy. And then it goes in depth with it. It says that for one, the servlet container loads servlet class. Two, where it says create servlet instance, it says servlet container creates an instance of the servlet. And then the call int, servlet container will call an integer method of the servlet. Int methods used to create or load some data that will be used through the life of the servlet. And the int method is executed once. And then in 4, it pretty much just a sec. The call service, it says this service method is the main method to perform the actual task. The servlet container web server calls the service method to handle requests coming from the client browser and write the formatted response back to the client. It is executed multiple times, once for every HTTP request with the servlet. And then the last one is when a servlet is unloaded by the servlet container, it destroy method is called. The step is only executed once, since a servlet is used only to unload once. A servlet is unloaded by the container if the container is shut down or if the container is reloaded, the whole web application at a runtime. So yeah, those are like that's just the cycle of it, the servlet. I need to have some more information on it, but I'm trying to find it right now.
No,
So
that's
I've got a
good.
couple of things I can show if you guys want.
Yeah, go ahead. That would be great.
Okay. Let me turn on screen share. Let's see. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start with this simple servlet here. This is basic. This is a copy and paste from a tutorial I found. It had me go through and make this simple one and then a generic one. But basically, with a servlet, you have 3 main functions. You've got the init right here, the service, and the destroy. And those are the 3 lifecycle functions of a servlet. So it'll call the init to start it up, and then the service is what runs each thread. And then once the servlet is you're finished using it, it runs the destroy method. So, and then let's see. This one is for an HTTP servlet, and it has a do git function that it runs, and then it's got all these in there like that. So I need to go, and the next step I need to work on is adding Apache for the server, and then implementing this in to the server and get it running. So that's my next step.
That looks good.
Nice.
So you kind of went over some of this. You kind of showed a coded example of the stuff I explained. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the different lifecycle hooks. So.
Yeah.
And there's a few different types of servlets depending on what you want.
Yeah.
And each one has their own lifecycle hooks. So I think there was one that had a whole list of them. It might have been the HTTP one, actually.
I think
So,
that's a pretty common one.
yeah.
Because it's all about sending. So servlet is used to pretty much communicate between protocols for like HTTP, where the sender send for information, and then it goes through servlet, where servlet is stored, and then it goes back to the sender, like you retrieve information and send back to request. So
yeah, if you've ever been on a web page where you click a button and the whole page refreshes, that's coming from a servlet or a servlet-like technology where the server built the web page and then served it up to you.
Yeah.
I did find, let's see, where is it? There was another image that made more sense than this one. Okay, so.
Well, on my phone, yes, I would be able to share. I would be able to share the stuff I had, but maybe I could still do it. I don't know. Oh, I can't.
I was gonna say, Christian, what IDE are you using?
I'm probably gonna go with Tomcat, Apache Tomcat. It seems
Oh.
that it makes more sense, but I've been debating. I haven't been able to install it yet because
I mean, well, I was gonna say he's going to use Apache Tomcat as well, but he's using IntelliJ. Yeah, what's your program? Are you using NetBeans or are you using Eclipse?
actually I have Eclipse and IntelliJ.
Okay.
I like IntelliJ better, to be honest.
Yeah. Once you go NetBeans or JetBrains, you can't go back.
Yeah.
I use NetBeans to write my programs and stuff. But I'm not really a fan of NetBeans, but it's the best one I found so far to use for object-oriented programming stuff.
Yeah. If you want to try IntelliJ, I actually use the educational license, so I get it for free for a year, and you can redo it every year through your university email address.
Does it give you access to ReSharper? Can you get a version of ReSharper? If so, that would be amazing.
Let me look.
The problem I had was that my computer would not run because it was a 64-bit. Some of these programs are too old, so it wouldn't allow me to run them with my 64-bit processor.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
yeah, some of the newer stuff, I'm sure, like IntelliJ, they have a 64-bit version though. You can run, or it's got a 62 or a 32-bit. I'm sure.
Yeah, I have a laptop that I don't really. It's a nice laptop. It has a terabyte memory, hard drive in it, but I need more memory in it for one. So I'm gonna have to buy some more memory for it or something. Now that it has Windows 10. I really don't like Windows 10. I'm more of the old school kind of guys that like Windows 7. And
all right, so
I don't
ReSharper is available.
Yeah, dude, that if you can get that makes your life so much easier.
Yeah. So
What's
here,
it
real
called?
quick, I'll show you.
It helps you complete your code, and it looks for things that are
What's it
wrong and
called?
does it's called ReSharper.
ReSharper.
It's what if you work at any kind of enterprise, and even even a startup, they will give you ReSharper or pay for your ReSharper license because it increases your productivity so much.
Yeah, these are all the
Yeah, that's
IDs
awesome.
I can use with my student license.
Oh, and you get Ultimate. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
that's
that's
what we use
great.
at work. Yeah.
So we can.
I used WebStorm for a while, and then I got hooked on Visual Studio Code. So
they did do a good job on that. It's pretty lightweight.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. What else do we want to cover? Do we want to?
So, question. So for all this stuff we're doing, we're supposed to have one program that runs that shows all of them how they apply to it.
That's at the end. That's at the end of the class, right? For basic understanding, you're going to turn in 14 different programs or 14 different examples that can be totally unrelated, right? That's how I understood it.
Yeah.
It's basically.
But after week 10,
snippet we share should be able to.
It should be able to run on its own, yeah.
Oh boy, I'm so dead.
No, you guys. What's up? I mean, if you just do so you're using NetBeans, right?
Yeah.
You just got to create new projects and make sure it has a main. Or if you're using a web, if you're using web, then yeah, you just make sure you have a home page or whatever. But it sets all that stuff up for you. Don't think you have to do it all from scratch. That's what your IDE is for. You let it do a lot of the work for you. And then if you find the right tutorial, it'll walk you through how to do that and how to set it up in your IDE. So that you just say, okay, click here, click here, click here, include Apache, boom, it's set up. That's it. You include the jar file or include a library, and boom, you're good to go. And then you just write the code.
Yeah, I agree. That there's plenty of tutorials. I would just for me, in my case, I was just a little bit confused between the Apache Tomcat, and then he said that we need to install the Java Enterprise. So I was like, well, okay, which one do I need to use? So I need both.
Yeah, that can get when you can get in with the libraries and stuff, that can get confusing.
Yeah. So Just to double check in my case. Do I need
So
to
the thing I
install it?
submitted last week for what I did, the familiarity, I got an F.
You'll always get an F until you've
Okay.
like put
Until
like
you've-
most of them in.
Mhm.
Because
Oh.
the way
Like you
it goes is you start with a deficit of 100 points or whatever it is, and each project you turn in, you get points, so it steadily increases it from 0 up to
So
100 points.
So I need to just do the others.
Yeah, he showed us how to look at your feedback.
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't check it out yet.
Yeah, definitely check your feedback because that's what if he's gonna have anything that you need to do different, then he'll include it in the feedback. If not, then you're good to go and just keep moving on.
For sure he's gonna have feedback because I didn't put any code for one of the topic I did. Just gave him
As,
what I had.
as long as you're hitting basic on it, you're good to go.
Okay. All right, so I'm at the hospital right now, so I'm probably gonna have to go soon. What topics do you guys want to go over for next week?
That's a good question.
I can do another one of the UML things.
We have use case documents, state diagrams, and sequence diagrams.
Just choose two and then post it in the group so I can just know the ones you're doing exactly.
Well, should we do one UML one and then one code one?
Yeah, we should just do that.
Do we want to do like hibernate or something?
Sure.
That sounds kind of cool. Hibernate.
Yeah, it's
Dear
a,
sad.
I think I was slated to present that next week still. Did you want me to still?
oh yeah,
No,
that'd be
we
great. I mean,
yeah we could
All
do that,
I mean,
but we still can all we should still all study it anyways.
yes,
Yes.
yeah. So not necessarily a full blown presentation like we were doing, but yeah,
Yeah,
just make sure.
Go
Yeah,
over it together. That works.
yeah, that'd be great.
So hibernate and what else?
You want to do like state diagrams?
Sure.
Why not?
Yay, diagrams. All right, cool.
So that girl. All right, yeah, just post it in the group.
Yeah, get back to your baby.
All right.
So we're gonna meet Thursday again next week.
Congratulations again, by the way, Randy. That's so cool.
All right, thanks.
All right, yep. Next is Thursday. Okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to do 8:30 again? Did that work, or do we want to change the time?
Well,
That
I
works for
think
me.
it works better for me than all the other times. So.
Yeah, 8:30 is good for me too.
Cool. Thursday at 8:30. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys. And then Chris, if you could post the video in the chat, that'd be great.
Yep.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good night, guys.
Bye.